Joe Biden signing this executive order had something to do with my analysis and critique of him and his administration that I rendered yesterday and will be rendering in the near future again. Just like I believe his decision to sign Juneteenth as a national holiday, the first new federal holiday since Dr. King Day, I believe that was influenced by my Breakfast Club interview that went viral. Without question, someone in that White House is paying attention to what I have to say and when I say it. What I want to do right now is I want to read this. I want to read the executive order and provide a political and psychological analysis. Being a psychologist and a political scientist, I want to provide a political and psychological analysis. Being a psychologist and a political scientist. So here we go. Let's read. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, policy. Educational opportunity is a fundamental element of the American promise. The United States Supreme Court recognized in 1954 in the Brown versus Board of Education decision that education is, quote, a right which must be made available to all on equal terms. In the decades since, our nation has made progress in advancing equality and fairness in our schools. And the achievements, talents, and tenacity of Black students, educators, families, and scholars make our nation's schools and communities stronger for all Americans. Black students are striving in schools across the country, inside the classroom, as valedictorians and award-winning scientists, and outside of it, including in debate, athletics, student government, and national spelling bees, among many other areas. Over the course of America's history, Black Americans have helped to build, strengthen, and lead our nation towards becoming a more perfect union. Although for far too long, Black Americans were denied even the most basic access to education. The vital contributions of Black Americans in the fields of science, academia, business, and public service, among others, are a testament to the resilience of Black Americans in the steps our nation has taken to expand access to education and opportunity. Let me cut in real fast. Let me cut in real fast. Let me cut in real fast. First of all, notice he says Black Americans. America is beginning to call us Black Americans as opposed to African Americans. Stay with me. Stay with me. Since the 1980s, when Jesse Jackson began calling us African Americans at an Urban League conference, the government started filing suit, also calling us African Americans. But in recent years, there has been a reversion to Black American. I'm going to tell you why. There's two reasons for that. There's two reasons why the U.S. government is going back to calling us Black Americans as opposed to African Americans. Number one, they want to disconnect us from our African birthright because they fear the rise of a global Pan-African revolution. Let me say it again. Let me say it again. One of the reasons the government is going back to calling us Black Americans as opposed to African Americans is they fear the rise of a global Pan-African revolution. We've been African Americans since the 1980s. All of a sudden, you go back to calling us Black Americans because you want to de-emphasize the growing African consciousness amongst the American African. So that's one thing I'm noticing right off the top. Let's stop using the word Africa. Let's stop using the word Africa. Let's stop using the word Africa. So that's one thing I'm noticing right off the top. Another reason they stopped using the word Africa is not only to minimize the growing Pan-African movement, not only to try to undercut the growing Pan-African consciousness that's sweeping the world, in no small part due to the works of the Prince of Pan-Africanism, their fear of a Pan-African revolution, but also because of the Negro tribalism groups. The Negro tribalism groups such as ADOS that is popularizing an anti-African political agenda. So they want to cater to that because that actually plays into the hands of white supremacy, because a people without land that they own and control are a people without respect. Let me say it again. A people without a land area that they own and control outside of their enemy's territory are a people without respect. The reason why these Negro tribalism organizations, these Negro tribalism groups are such a threat to the accumulation of power for African people in America is because they failed to recognize the basis of power is independent land mass. Chinese have power because they have an independent land mass called China. East Indians have power because they have an independent land mass known as East India. European Jews have power because they have an independent land mass known as Israel. Anglo-Saxons have power. They have an independent land mass known as Great Britain. The American African has no independent land mass. Hence your need, like all other non-white people in this country, to attach yourself to your God-given birthright and independent landmass, which is the mother continent of Africa. This is why Chinese in America emphasize China. Indians in America emphasize India. Jews in America emphasize Israel to remind this country that I am not a people without a landmass. There is no ADOS continent. There is no FBA continent. There's no ADOS country. You control no land, and thusly you will have no power. You control no land, and thusly you will have no power. It is ridiculous to argue any agenda that seeks to achieve political and economic power for any people when those people do not control and are not connected. If those people do not control and excuse me, if those people do not control and are not connected to an independent landmass. Show me a people in human history. Show me a people in human history. Show me a people in human history who received independence or overthrew oppression. They received independence or overthrew oppression without an independent landmass of their own. Show me that, please. And that is why the American Negro tribal movements are undermining the forward progress of African people. Totally undermining it. But our young people are so politically uneducated, they jump onto anything that sounds good or popular and they just run with it. That's why political education class is important. That's why political education class is important. So number one, they're going back to calling us Black Americans instead of African Americans. Number two, with all due respect, President Joe Biden, with all due respect, President Joe Biden, you are tooting America's horn a little too loud. With all due respect, President Joe Biden, you are tooting America's horn a little too loudly. You claim that we have come a long way. That's what you claim. Well, let me remind you, President Joe Biden, that only 1 out of every 4 black boys graduates from high school in this country. Please help me understand this progress that we have made. Let me also remind you, President Joe Biden, that 90% of American African children still attend segregated schools. Are you aware of that, President Joe Biden? Are you aware of that? 90% of American African children attend segregated schooling. 1 out of every 4 black boys is graduating. The public school system is the leading referral source for new bodies in your mass incarceration system. Special education. Black boys are overrepresented in every single category of special education. They are overrepresented in the learning disabled. They are overrepresented in the intellectually disabled. They are overrepresented in the emotionally disturbed. They are overrepresented in the other health impairment for ADHD. President Joe Biden, have you been inside of any schools in the black community lately? Are you aware that there's a national shortage of black teachers, including black female teachers? I beg your pardon, sir, but you are acting like there has been progress since 1954, and there has not been. But I digress. Let me continue reading. The president goes on to say, in his executive order signed yesterday on black education, President Biden goes on to say, in spite of this progress, entrenched disparities continue to plague America's education system, holding far too many black students back from achieving their full potential. Because of persistent racial and systemic injustice. Oh, really now? Because of persistent racial and systemic injustice in our nation. I wonder why. President Biden, why do we still have persistent racial and systemic injustice, President Biden? Could it be because you cut 43 billion, y'all? Or was it 43 million he cut? 43. You cut 43 million out of 45 million from the HBCUs. Could that be part of the reason why we have persistent racial and systemic injustice? You cut 43 million from the 45 million HBCU new funding proposal. Could it be that you're catering to Afghan refugees while you tried to treat the Haitian refugees like animals? Could it be because you've catered to the Asians and the rainbows and the Mexicans and everybody else while you've done nothing for black people? But let us continue. Notice he doesn't talk about why we still have persistent racial and systemic injustice. Notice he doesn't talk about why we have persistent racial and systemic injustice. He says black students remain more likely to attend high poverty in racially segregated schools. Black students remain more likely to attend high poverty in racially segregated schools than whites. I wonder why. Is it because you refuse to create jobs for black men? Is it because you refuse to create jobs for black women? Is it because you refuse to create jobs for black youth? You're giving the Afghan refugees jobs. How in the hell do the Afghan refugees get jobs when black children don't have jobs? Black youth don't have jobs. Black women don't have jobs. Let us continue. Black students are inequitably disciplined and suspended from school at disproportionately higher rates than white students for similar offenses. I see you've been listening to me a whole lot, President Biden. You've been listening to me a whole lot. In addition, black students too often face limited access to advanced and college prep courses, but you're not telling the people why. Why do black students face limited opportunity for advanced placement in college prep courses, President Biden? It's because of white teacher racism and public school racism that denies advanced black students the opportunity to earn college credit before graduation. You did not talk about the fact that most teachers are white. You're talking about high poverty. That's true. In segregated schools, that's true. But you're not talking about segregated teaching ranks. What about the segregated teaching ranks, President Biden? What are you going to do to give us more black teachers? You're not going to do anything. And you know why you're not going to do anything? Because you, like Obama, like every other president, every governor, every mayor, you are scared of the teacher unions, President Biden. You are scared of the teacher unions, sir. That's right. You're scared of the American Federation of Teachers. You're scared of the National Education Association. And you know that if the Democrats want to stay in good with the teachers, you had better not talk about teacher accountability for black child achievement. You had better not talk about white teacher accountability for black child achievement. Why don't we have a conversation, President Biden, on white teacher accountability for black student achievement? We never talk about white teacher accountability for black student achievement because you know if you do that, you will not get the votes from the teacher union and you will not get the money from the teacher union. Everybody's scared of the police union and the teacher union. The three most scariest organizations to any politician in America, the three scariest organizations to politicians in America are the Fraternal Order of Police, the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Education Association, and the American Federation of Teachers. I said the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Education Association, and the American Federation of Teachers. Those three unions control the presidents, they control the governors, they control the mayors, and that's why we never see anything change when it comes to education. Let me continue. Systemic racial disparities in education negatively impact learning outcomes for black students, and many face persistent gaps in reading and math. Why do they face persistent gaps in reading and math, President Biden? You're not given the causes for the conditions in your executive order. I would like for you to give causes for the conditions in your executive order. And don't tell me you don't know what they are, because I believe your wife is an educator. I believe the First Lady is an educator. So I'm sure the First Lady knows exactly why the black children are struggling with reading and math. And it begins with your teachers. Black children get the worst teachers. We get the newest teachers. The best teachers are sent to the suburbs and to the white schools. And not only that, the Title I money is poorly used, poorly managed, and poorly accounted for. Another reason why the schools would rather send the black children to get tested for special education because they get paid for special education. That's another reason why they're not working with black children to improve their reading and math skills. They're not working with black children to improve reading and math skills because they put them in special ed to get the special ed dollars. So are you going to start offering consequences to schools that abuse special education? Is President Joe Biden going to start offering consequences to schools that abuse special ed. Because if you're not going to start punishing principals, if you're not going to start punishing principals and special ed directors and superintendents for the over-identification of black children in special ed, it's never going to stop, President Biden. Let me continue. Studies show school districts with high concentration of black students are much more likely to be underfunded. I wonder why. I wonder why, President Biden. You know why. Let's read it again. Studies show that school districts with high concentration of black students are much more likely to be underfunded than districts where a majority of students are white and face much wider funding gaps with an average deficit of more than $5,000 per student. Let me ask you a question, President Biden. Black America has been under gentrification since the presidency of George W. Bush in the year 2000. Black America has been under gentrification for 21 years. Intense gentrification for 10 years. If Black America has been under intense gentrification for 10 years, with black property owners being taxed, property tax at 100% of market value, in the ghetto, you are now being taxed, property taxed at 100% of the market rate that your house is worth. Why don't we see more property tax money going into the ghetto schools since the ghettos are being gentrified? Why don't we see more property tax money going into the ghetto schools since the ghettos are being gentrified? White folks are taking over the ghetto, but I don't see the money going into the black public schools. You want to know why, Joe Biden? Because you know, like I know, that nobody is making the governors or the mayors of this country put the gentrification dollars into the black elementary schools, because if they did, it would slow down gentrification. It would slow down gentrification. It would slow down gentrification. If the money goes into the gentrified school, y'all can't close down the black public schools. Y'all can't close down the black public schools. And the third reason why you know the gentrified money is not going into the black schools where gentrification is taking place is because you all gave white folks tax abatements in most major cities. White people who agree to move back into the ghetto don't have to pay property tax for 10 years. Do you know why you did that, President Joe Biden? Do you know why the governors of America did that? If the inner city is hurting for money, why would you give white folks a 10-year tax abatement when they come back to help you gentrify black America? You know why? Because you wanted to make sure none of those gentrification dollars would ever find their way inside the black public school. You wanted to make sure those gentrification dollars would never find their way back inside the black public school. That's why. That's why, Joe Biden. I like how you give these problem diagnoses, but you don't give problem causes. I like how you like to diagnose the problem, but you don't like to give causes. Let's keep going. Black students are still below the national average for educational attainment in high school, and that gap is even higher for college attainment rates. 26% of Black Americans ages 25 and older have a bachelor's degree, while the national average is 36%. Black students also face unique challenges at the intersection of race and gender. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here comes the rainbow. Here comes the rainbow. Here comes the rainbow. Listen up, family. I knew it was in here. Listen up. Black students also face unique challenges at the intersection of race and gender. Barriers to equity in education can compound for Black students who are also LGBTQ plus students. Let me read it again. Here we go. Here we go with the okie doke. Barriers to equity in education can compound for Black students who are also LGBTQ plus students, English language learners. So you're talking about non-American Africans, dreamers, or students with disabilities. Okay. Okay. So I see you throwing the bone to the rainbow. Here's my question. Here's my question. Here's my question. I want you to go to the parent of any rainbow student and ask them, President Biden, what do they care about more? Their child's education or their right to go into the other gender's bathroom? Ask them. What do they care about more? Their Black boy not graduating or his right to use one of those new pronouns y'all came up with? I can promise you, in the Black community, in our schools, sir, that is not a priority. But you're going to make it one. Because what you're going to do is you're going to act like you're helping Black children, but you're going to make a quick left turn down the rainbow hallway. You're going to act like you're walking up the Black hallway, but you're going to make a quick detour down the rainbow hallway. I know exactly what you're going to do. But let us continue to read. Let us continue to read. Let us continue to read. These disparities result in long-standing college and post-secondary educational attainment gaps that affect life outcomes and access to opportunity. Although student populations are becoming increasingly diverse, Black teachers remain significantly underrepresented in our nation's classrooms. Joe Biden been listening to the Prince. Joe Biden been listening to the Prince of Pan-Africanism. This executive order is damn near naming every problem I have named as a priority. You're not going to tell me this is a coincidence. You're not going to tell me this is a coincidence. He is naming every problem Dr. Umar has named, almost every one. Let's see if he talks about trade schools. Let's see if he talks about bringing the industrial building trade programs back. Let's continue. Black teachers remain significantly underrepresented in our nation's classroom. Let's stop right there for a minute, because he don't tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. For those of you who are just joining, my name is Dr. Umar Ifatunde Oguntade. I am a doctor of clinical psychology, a certified school psychologist. I'm also a certified school principal, and I am reading your President Joe Biden's newest executive order that he signed yesterday, October the 19th, 2021, where he's promising to improve outcomes for Black children. I know what you're saying. We've heard this record before, and I agree with you. But let's listen to the record just so we know exactly what the record will sound like. The reason why you don't have as many Black teachers as you had 30 years ago. The reason why you don't have as many Black teachers as you had 40 years ago. Number one, Black teachers are overworked. They are the last hired, they are the first fired, and they are always overlooked for promotions, President Joe Biden. Let me say it again. Black teachers are the last hired, they are the first fired, they are overworked, and they are overlooked for promotions. Y'all would rather promote an inexperienced white teacher to be a superintendent, to be a coach, to be a principal, to be an administrative leader. You give all the central office administrative jobs to young, white, inexperienced people, and you leave the experienced black teachers in the classroom, Joe Biden. That's why you have a black teacher shortage, but you're not going to say anything because you're scared of the NEA and the AFT. You're not going to say anything because you're scared of the NEA and the AFT. That's right. And everybody knows that the NEA and the AFT are the Ku Klux Klan of public school. That's right. I said it. Quote me. Another reason why you don't have as many black teachers as you used to is because of another Ku Klux Klan group, Educational KKK. So the NEA is Educational KKK. The AFT is Educational KKK. And who's the third Educational KKK? That would be Teach for America and all of the other white-owned companies that offer emergency certification placement for transitioning professionals who want to teach in America's schools. I said it. Teach for America, Reach for America, all those programs that hire inexperienced, unlicensed, non-degreed white folks to come into the ghetto when they lose their job at Wall Street and lose their job at the bank. And when they lose their job at Walmart, they can come to the ghetto because they're white with privilege. They can come to the ghetto and they can get an emergency certification and they can go work in a ghetto school with benefits and vacation days. And everybody knows teachers get more vacation than anybody else because of Jewish holidays. And then when the black teachers show up, and say, hey, I got 30 years in. I'm a reading specialist. I'm a math specialist. I want to teach at the black school I went to as a child. When the black teachers show up with all their years of experience and all their degrees and all their licenses, do you know what your school districts tell them, Crazy Joe? Do you know what your school districts tell them, Joe Biden? Your school districts in America will tell experienced, licensed, credentialed, certified black teachers that we don't have a space for you because we signed a contract with Teach for America. And our contract with Teach for America says they have to fill all of the vacancies in our school. So even though we want to give you the job, Mr. Black Teacher, we want to give you the job, Mr. Black Teacher, Mrs. Black Teacher, to work in your own neighborhood where you grew up. We know you care about the kids. We know you can teach them, but I'm sorry, we ain't got no job because we signed a contract for Teach for America that says they are the only ones who can staff these teaching vacancies. That's why your black teacher numbers are dwindling, Joe Biden, but you're not going to do anything about it because you're scared of the AFT, the NEA, and all of the emergency certification program. Stop playing with me, President. Stop playing with me, Mr. President. You can try that with the Congressional Black Caucus. And by the way, I know why you signed this. I know exactly why you signed this order. And by the way, I'm looking for the teeth. We coming up to the teeth, brothers and sisters. We coming up to the teeth. But I know why you signed this, President Joe Biden. You want to know why? Joe Biden put this out yesterday for 3 reasons. Joe Biden put this out yesterday for 3 reasons. Number 1, Dr. Umar is on your ass with that Breakfast Club interview. He's on your ass. That's number 1. Number 2, he's waking black parents up in black America to what's going on in education and mental health for black children more than any psychologist or educator in the history of this country. Yeah, I said it. Prove me wrong. Number 3, black people are getting tired of you, sir. Black people are getting tired of you, President Joe Biden. And if you keep on ignoring black folks, you know what's going to happen during the next presidential election? I doubt if you run again. I doubt if you run again. But you know what's going to happen in 3 years if you keep on ignoring black folks? All of the undecided young black voters, let me tell you what's going to happen. Let me give you the Democrats a view of the future. If you keep on ignoring black folks, and I know the Congressional Black Caucus told you this, I know the Congressional Black Caucus told you this, President Biden. I know the Congressional Black Caucus told you this, President Biden. If you keep on ignoring black folks, the Democratic Party is going to suffer for it when you're gone in 3 more years. If Donald Trump runs for president, if he gets the Republican nominee, if Donald Trump gets the Republican nomination and he puts out that platinum plan for Black America, and don't get me wrong, I don't think he was going to do half the stuff on the platinum plan, but black people trust white folks, so that's neither here nor there. But if Donald Trump gets the Republican nomination for the next presidential election in 2024, and black folks still got a bitter taste in their mouth from Joe Biden ignoring them and catering to everybody else, the undecided black vote will go to the Republicans. The undecided black vote will go to the Republicans. You keep this up. You keep this up, and all those undecided black votes are going to go right over to Donald Trump. I know the Congressional Black Caucus told you this. I know Vice President Kamala Harris told you this. I know the Democratic think tanks told you this. I know the NAACP voting committee told you this. You're trying to clean up your image with black folks because you are not black. See, Barack Obama got away with ignoring black folks for 8 years because he was black. Barack Obama got away with ignoring black folks for 8 years because he was black. President Biden, you're not black, so you're not going to get away with ignoring black folks for 8 years. You keep this up, and the undecided black vote is going to go to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will be back in that White House. So Joe Biden ignoring black people is setting up Donald Trump for a historic return to the Oval Office. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't like you or him. I want to be clear. I'm not for the Republicans or the Democrats. Racist organizations are racist organizations. I don't care if your last name begin with a B or a T. It's all the same to me. I don't care if your last name begin with a B or a T. It's all the same to me. I don't care if your last name begins with a B or a T. It's all the same to me. Now let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. Oh yes. Oh yes. These disparities result, wait a minute. Black teachers, okay. Educational inequity have only widened through COVID-19 pandemic. Black students are more likely to experience remote learning challenge and greater learning loss as compared to their white peers. I wonder why. Is part of it due to the fact that white public schools made their teachers come back sooner, but black public schools gave the white teachers an extended vacation? Is it because the white public schools made their teachers come back early, but the black public schools gave the white teachers an extended vacation? See, he's giving you the problems, but he ain't telling you the causes. He's giving you the problems, but he's not telling you the causes. Let's continue. The persistent digital divide faced by some black students has contributed to this disparity. It is a priority of my presidential administration to ensure an equitable recovery from COVID-19 and to provide all students with a successful return to the classroom. In the face of these historic and present-day inequities in our nation's schools, black students continue to persevere. Black students and scholars today are breaking barriers confronted by generations who came before. Our nation's schools and communities are irrefutably strengthened by the success, scholarship, and tenacity of black students at all ages, but our nation must go further to finally root out systemic barriers in our schools. I'm also wondering if he's going to say anything about juvenile incarceration, because I don't know what schools he's been looking at. President Biden, I don't know what schools you've been looking at in black community, but most of our boys are in the juvenile detention center. Most of our boys are in discipline school. So I don't know who told you black students are breaking barriers. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of success stories. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of success stories, but the general population of black students are struggling and suffering under your public school system, and your U.S. Secretary of Education isn't doing anything about it. And your U.S. Secretary of Education isn't doing anything about it. Let me continue. Additionally, these barriers are not present not just in the classroom, but also in the workplace. Black Americans face systemic obstacles to getting good jobs, gaps in wages and promotion, and higher incidences of reported workplace discrimination than white workers. Listen to me. Listen to me. If you don't believe Joe Biden signed this yesterday after listening to my live, if you don't believe Joe Biden signed this yesterday after listening to my live, let me ask you a question. For those of you who saw my live stream on Black America Since Dr. King, the 1970s, and you can watch it on my Facebook videos. You can watch it on my Facebook videos. What did I say? The Kerner Commission report of 1968. What did I say? The Kerner Commission report of 1968 listed as the top 2 solutions to fix Black America. Do y'all remember? Do y'all remember? What was the number 1 recommendation of the Kerner report? If you don't think Joe Biden heard my live stream, what was the number 1 solution of the 1968 Kerner Commission report to help Black America? Did I not say jobs? Did I not say jobs? Did I not say jobs? And don't every time y'all ask me, how do we begin to repair Black America? Do I not always say education and economics? Have you not heard me say that in every lecture? Have you not heard me say that in every interview? Have you not heard me say that on every live stream? I always tell you, education is the left foot and economics is the right foot of any program to resurrect Black people. So you're telling me it's a coincidence that Joe Biden is signing an executive order that speaks to education and employment. He took it from me. He took it from me. But let's listen to the jobs. All my unemployed Black people, I want you to listen in. All my unemployed Africans, I want you to listen in. Listen to this. Black Americans face systemic obstacles to getting good jobs, gaps in wages and promotion, and higher incidences of reported workplace discrimination than white workers. Eliminating these inequities requires expanding access to work-based learning and leadership opportunity, including mentorships, sponsorships, internships, registered apprenticeships that provide not only career guidance, but also the experience needed to navigate and excel in successful careers. In order for our nation to equitably recover from COVID-19 and to ensure that every Black person in America has a fair shot at the American dream, we must advance equity and excellence in public education and access to economic opportunity. Straight from my mouth. But I want to hear how he's going to do this. Don't get happy. Don't get happy, unemployed Africans. Don't get happy, ex-offenders. Don't get happy, unemployed young adults. That's the promise. Let's see the plan. He's giving you the promise. Don't celebrate the promise. Celebrate the results of the plan. Let's continue. Let's continue. It is the policy of my administration to advance educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Black Americans and communities from early childhood until their chosen career. Section number 2. White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Black Americans. Letter A, to advance equity in our nation's schools and to provide the economic opportunity that follows it. There is established in the U.S. Department of Education the White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Black Americans, of which the Secretary of Education shall serve as the chair. I got a problem with that right there. I got a problem with that right there. Joe Biden, you just lost me. 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 Brother Jason, I'm talking about our children right now. We're not talking about no boxing, bro. We serious right now. Stop cooning or I'm going to block you. This ain't about no Freddie Gibbs, Mike Tyson. I'm talking about our babies right now. All right? Sometimes you got to grow up, my brother. Sometimes we got to grow up. Joe Biden says the Secretary of Education is going to be the chair of this committee. I got a big problem with that. Anybody want to know why? Anybody want to know why? Let me tell you why I got a big problem with the current Secretary of Education being the chair of the White House Initiative on Education, Excellence, and Economics. Number one, the U.S. Secretary of Education, isn't culturally competent enough to address the educational and economic opportunity challenges of Black folks. The Secretary of Education doesn't have the cultural competence. That's number one. Number two, the Secretary of Education is already as busy as that person can be. They got to deal with special ed. They got to deal with Title I. They got to deal with JROTC. They got to deal with all these white school shootings. They got to deal with all this other stuff. How they going to have time to oversee this? How they going to have time to oversee this? How is the Secretary of Education, as busy as that job is, how you going to do all that and then be responsible for bringing Black students and Black people into the 21st century educationally and economically? You're not serious, President Joe. You're not serious. And let me ask you a question. If you really care about the education and economics of Black children, President Biden, if this is really a priority for you, can I ask you a question, sir, with all due respect? You gave the Asians their own director of the White House Initiative on Asian American Affairs. They have a new position on your cabinet to deal with the Asians. If I'm not mistaken, the Rainbows have their own position on your cabinet to deal with their issues. So if the Rainbow Gang have a designated administrator to oversee their issues, and if the Asian Americans have a designated administrator to oversee their issues, why isn't there a designated director, administrator, supervisor for the White House Initiative on Excellence in Education and Economics? If you were serious, that's how I know this is a bunch of horse manure, Mr. President. That's how I know this is a bunch of horse manure, Mr. President, because you gave them other two groups their own administrator in your cabinet. We don't get our own. We don't get our own. Even Donald Trump gave the Hispanics their own administrator. That Hispanic Prosperity Initiative, they got their own director. They wasn't clumped up under somebody else. They wasn't clumped up under somebody else. So why don't you give us a director for the White House Initiative for Excellence in Education and Economics for Black folks? I'll do the job free of charge. Dr. Umar Ifatunde would like to nominate myself. I do not want to be paid because I am not for sale. The Black community will subsidize me. I'll get paid from my people. I don't want a penny from your White House. I want to be the director for the White House Initiative for Excellence in Education and Economic Opportunity, President Joe Biden. Can I be the director? And I'm free. I'm totally free. But I don't pledge the flag, so don't be looking for none of that. I do not pledge the flag. I'm not marrying a white girl either. I don't do it. I'm just being honest with you, sir. If you think I'm going to roll in there with a flag on my lapel and a white girl on my... No, sir. No, sir. No. But I will do it for free. But I will do it for free. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going, my Africans. Make sure y'all hit the Cash App. Make sure y'all hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Make sure you hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Make sure you hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Let's continue. The secretary shall designate, okay, here we go. The Secretary of Education will be the chair, and the secretary shall designate an executive director for the initiative, brothers and sisters. So there will be an executive director, but I'm still not satisfied because the director should have been independent from the Secretary of Education. So you're still keeping this under the Secretary of Education. Why is this being kept under the... What does an educational secretary know about jobs for black men? What does an educational secretary know about jobs for black women? The economics should have been separate from the education, although related, because the employment, the underemployment of black folks is a major contributor to poverty, homelessness, and mass incarceration. So there should be a director for African American affairs in the United States. I'm going to say it again. There should be a director for African American affairs in the United States. There should be a director for African American affairs in the United States. If you live in the city of Philadelphia or the state of Pennsylvania, if you live in the city of Philadelphia or the state of Pennsylvania, if you live in the city of Philadelphia or the state of Pennsylvania, I will be hosting your Black Parent Boot Camp 12-hour Know Your School Rights training before the end of the year. If you live in the state of Pennsylvania, any of the 67 counties or 501 school districts in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, your boot camp will be held in Philadelphia before the end of the year. Get ready. You don't have to live in Philadelphia to come to the Philadelphia boot camp. I am a Pan-Africanist. You can come from anywhere in the Pan-African diaspora. Let's continue with Joe Biden. Okay. The initiative shall advance educational equity and economic opportunity for black students, families, and communities by focusing on the following. Here we go. Here's the policy goals. Get ready, y'all. Get ready. Let me burn a new incense. We're about to talk about the policy goals. Burn a new incense. Also, if you live in Philadelphia, I'm looking for a black vegetarian or vegan chef in the city of Philadelphia. A black vegetarian or vegan chef who can teach me how to do vegetarian and vegan meals, but also prepare them until I learn how. So I'm looking for, in the city of Philadelphia, I'm looking for a vegetarian or vegan chef who can prepare meals for me, but also teach me how to do the meals, okay? I don't just want to pay you forever. I want you to cook for me for maybe 6 months or to a year until I learn how to make my own food. If you're interested, get at me. I also need a new massage therapist in the city of Philadelphia. Massage therapist, okay? Massage therapist must be female. Chef can be a brother. Massage therapist must be female. I'm not comfortable with men rubbing on my body. That's just the way it goes. Let's go back. Here's the policy initiatives, brothers and sisters. The policy initiatives for Joe Biden's White House initiative on black education and economics. Letter number 1. Increase general understanding of systemic causes of educational challenges faced by black students, whether these students are in urban, suburban, rural, or migrant learning environment, and working across executive departments and agencies to address these challenges. Number 2, increase Black children and family access to and participation in high-quality early childhood programs and services that promote children's healthy development and learning and prepare them for success in school and affirm their cultural identity. Did y'all hear that? He said affirm their cultural identity. I want to see how they do that. I want to see how they do that. Number 3, addressing the inequitable treatment of Black children, such as eradicating discriminatory referrals to special ed and excessive disciplinary action. Let me read that one again. He took that from me, and that one is very important. He took that one from me, and that one is very important. Number 3, addressing the inequitable treatment of Black children, such as eradicating discriminatory referrals to special ed and excessive disciplinary action. I want to know how. How you going to do that, Joe Biden? When your white teachers are the reason so many Black kids are in special ed. Your white teachers are the reason so many Black kids are suspended and expelled from school. So show me how you're going to cut down on the special ed referrals and the suspensions and expulsions. I want to see how you're going to do this. Let's continue. Number 4. Wait a minute. Okay, number 4. Support and improve data collection related to Black students and implementation of evidence-based strategy to increase the participation and success of Black students in all levels of education and prepare them for careers and civic engagement. Ensuring that all Black students have access to excellent teachers, school leaders, and other professionals, include by supporting efforts to improve, here we go, recruitment, preparation, development, and retention of qualified, diverse teachers. Nah. We got a problem, brothers and sisters. Did y'all hear what I just said? We got a problem, brothers and sisters. Did y'all hear what I just said? Ladies, give me a heart. Fellas, give me a thumbs up if you heard what I just said. Ladies, give me a heart. Fellas, give me a thumbs up if you heard what I just read. He's trying to be slick. He's trying to be slick. Did y'all hear what I just read? Did y'all hear what? I'm going to read it again, and I want you to see if you can pick up the tricknology in what Joe Biden just said. Listen to this. Listen to this. Improve efforts in the recruitment, preparation, development, and retention of qualified, diverse teachers. Diverse? Why didn't he say Black? Why didn't he say Black teachers? President Biden, why did you use the word diverse? Why did you use the word diverse? If this is about Black people, if this is about Black people, if this is about Black children, why do you want to recruit, prepare, develop, and retain qualified, diverse teachers? What the hell is a diverse teacher? What is a diverse teacher? Why didn't you say Black? You know why he didn't say Black? You know why he didn't say Black? I'm going to tell you why. And I will bet you money. Who want to bet me money? I will bet you money right now that those Afghanis, who wants to bet? Who wants to bet? I'm not a betting person, but who wants to bet? I promise you that some of those Afghanis are going to get a free education and they're going to get licensed to be teachers and they're going to stick them right in the Black public schools. Who wants to bet? They're going to have Mexicans. They're going to have Indians. They're going to have Arabs. They're going to have Anglo-Saxons. They're going to have Chinese. Diverse. 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 Not Black. Diverse. They're going to have the rainbows in there. Listen, he is not promising more Black teachers. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord, this is why we got to read. You can't watch YouTube videos all day. You have to read. He didn't say Black teachers. He said diverse. Diverse. He didn't even say multicultural. He said diverse. Ain't no such thing as no damn diverse teachers. That means you are not willing to promise a certain number of new black teachers. You know why? Because the KKK of public school, the National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and the Teach for America, they have a monopoly on teaching jobs, and they disproportionately give them jobs to white folks. Let's continue. Joe Biden, you done already lost me. You done lost me twice already, sir. You done lost me twice. Let's keep on going. Diverse teachers and school leaders and other professionals who understand students' lived experiences and can effectively meet their learning, social, and emotional needs. Who can meet the emotional needs of a black child except a black teacher? Who can meet the emotional needs of a black child other than a black teacher? Number 6, enhance student support services and foster positive engagement among schools, families, community leaders, and community-based organizations to increase the high school graduation and post-secondary attendance rate and decrease high school dropout. Number 7, we up to 7, and I ain't heard nothing about no trade schools. We up to number 7, and I ain't heard nothing about the trade programs in the high school or the trade schools after high school. We up to number 7. I'm looking for industrial education, President Biden. I'm looking for industrial education, President Biden. Number 7, promote a positive school climate that supports equitable access to and participation in college readiness, advanced placement course, intern opportunity, as well as innovative dropout prevention and recovery strategies that better engage black youth in their learning, help them progress academically as needed, and provide those who have left the educational system with pathways to reentry. So now he wants to talk about pathways to reentry. Let's talk about President Joe Biden's pathways to reentry. Before I do, just a reminder, Dr. Umar is speaking this Saturday, October the 23rd. Dr. Umar is speaking this Saturday, October the 23rd, in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Youth Explosion. If you have a teenager, middle or high school, if you have a teenager, middle or high school, if you have a teenager, middle or high school, bring them to Allentown, Pennsylvania for this Saturday's Youth Explosion from 12 to 4. If you need a copy of my book, you can purchase it at the Youth Explosion in Allentown. If you need the flyer, you can text me 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Claude Bryant, I don't need a professional fundraiser. I need black people committed to building independent institutions. That's all I need, brother. All right? But Allentown, Saturday, Dr. Umar will be speaking in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Thursday, November the 4th. Dr. Umar will be speaking in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Thursday, November the 4th. Dr. Umar will be speaking in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Thursday, November the 4th. Dr. Umar will be speaking in Capitol Heights, Maryland, Wednesday, November the 10th, Everlasting Life Cafe, 6 p.m. Everlasting Life Cafe, black-owned vegan soul restaurant, Capitol Heights, Maryland, 6 p.m., Wednesday, November the 10th. Nat Turner Land, Virginia, Thursday, November the 11th. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. Thursday, November the 11th is the 190th memorial of Nat Turner's execution. We're going to honor him and all of our ancestors who God sent forward to help us on our liberation path. Hampton Roads, 7 cities. Hampton Roads, 7 cities. Hampton Roads, 7 cities. Dr. Umar will be in Norfolk, Virginia on Friday, November the 12th. Kroc Center, Norfolk, Hampton Roads, Friday, November the 12th, 4 p.m. Kroc Center, Norfolk, Virginia, 7 cities, Friday, November the 12th. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Umar will be hosting a free community conversation and book signing at the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum on Sunday, November the 4th. 2 dates for Virginia, 2 dates for Maryland, 1 date for Tennessee. 2 dates for Virginia, 2 dates for Maryland, 1 date for Tennessee. 2 dates for Virginia, 2 dates for Maryland, 1 date for Tennessee. Chattanooga, November 4. Capitol Heights, Maryland, November 10. Nat Turner Land, November 11. Norfolk, Virginia, November 12. Baltimore, Maryland, Great Blacks and Wax Museum, Sunday, November the 14th. If you need the flyers, text my phone, 215-989-9858. If you need the flyer, text my phone, 215-989-9858. Margate, South Florida, December the 4th. Margate, South Florida, December the 4th. Margate, South Florida, December the 4th. Scottsdale, Arizona, January 17th. Minneapolis, January 15th. Minneapolis, Dr. King Day, January 15th. Scottsdale, Arizona, Dr. King Day, January 17th. Text me for the flyer. Speaking requests, email me DrUmarJohnson@yahoo.com. Radio and podcast requests, email me at DrUmarJohnson@yahoo.com. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's continue. Number 8, eliminate discriminatory enrollment, housing, transportation, and other policies that lead to racial and socioeconomic segregation among and within schools. Number 9, ensure equitable access to educational resource, professional technology, including but by addressing racial disparities in school funding and expenditure. Number 10, breaking down barriers that impede the access of higher education institutions that serve Black students, such as HBCUs. He want to break down barriers that impede access to the HBCU. Well, you created the biggest barrier of all, President Biden, by cutting $43 billion from the $45 billion plan. See, this executive order is a distraction from the fact that you cut $43 billion away from our HBCUs. This executive order you signed yesterday is a distraction away from the fact that you robbed our 100 historically Black colleges and universities of $43 billion. And after robbing our HBCUs of $43 billion, you signed this executive order thinking Black people supposed to forget that just a few days ago, you robbed the HBCUs of $43 billion. You ain't slick. You ain't slick, President. You ain't slick. Let's keep going. Advance racial equity and economic opportunity by connecting education to labor market needs through programs such as dual enrollment, career technical education, registered apprenticeship, work-based learning, career advancement, particularly in the field of science, technology, engineering, and math. He said technical ed, but he didn't expound. Ensuring that Black communities have access to resources for economic success in the areas of financial education, small business development, entrepreneurship, art, science, tech, engineering, and math. What are you going to do about entrepreneurship? That's what I want to know. How much grant money is President Biden putting to the side for entrepreneurs in the Black community? I'm going to say it again. How much money is President Joe Biden putting to the side for entrepreneurship in the Black community? How much money, President Biden, are you going to dedicate Black people only? Black people only. How much money are you going to set aside for black folks, and you can't tell us you can't do it just for black folks, because you did it just for the rainbows, and you did it just for the Asians, and you did it just for the Afghanis. So I don't ever again want to hear another president in American history tell me that you got to do it for everybody, not just black folks, because y'all been looking out for the rainbows, and y'all been looking out for the Afghans, and y'all been looking out for the Asians and everybody else. So how much money are you going to put to the side for entrepreneurship in the black community, President Biden? That is my question. In case you didn't know, President Biden, in case you didn't know, there might be a United States Secretary of Education, but Dr. Umar is the Minister of Education for African people. I am the Minister of Education and Mental Health for African people. So your education, your secretary got to talk to me. The white secretary got to talk to the black secretary. I need to have a conversation because I'm not liking what I'm reading, sir. Diverse teachers. Where the Congressional Black Caucus at? Y'all okay with that language? Diverse teachers? Why did y'all make him say black? Why didn't y'all make him say black? He got black everywhere else in here. He's saying black all through the executive order. Black, 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 black. But soon when we get to the teachers, he don't say black. He says diverse. And Kamala Harris, you part-time Kamala Harris, to my part-time African sister. Kamala Harris, to my I'm black on the weekends vice president. Will you please put some teeth in this executive order? What sorority she belong to? Kamala Harris is an AKA? Is Kamala Harris an AKA? I'm asking the question. Is she a Delta or an AKA? What is Kamala Harris? Can somebody tell me, what is Kamala Harris? Whatever fraternity, whatever sorority she belonged to, whatever sorority Kamala Harris belonged to, that sorority need to put pressure on your soror to deliver to black folks. Because y'all bragging that y'all have the first female vice president. That sorority is bragging that y'all have the first female vice president. Nothing wrong with that. Be proud, ladies. I love me some AKAs. I love me some AKAs. I love me some Zetas. I love me some SG Rose. Deltas are my favorite, though. The Deltas, you know, that's the Dr. Umar bunch, right? The Deltas, something about them Deltas. But I love my AKAs. I love my Zetas. I love my SG Rose. But AKAs, I need y'all to call y'all soror up. Ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha, I need you to call your soror up. I need you to call your soror up in the White House and tell her she can't make y'all look bad. My AKA queens, call up your soror, Vice President Kamala Harris, and tell her, listen, soror, we celebrating you. You making sorority history. You making black history. You making American history. But we need you to deliver, because if you don't deliver nothing, you will go from being a beacon of pride to an example of shame, and we cannot have that. So AKAs, I love my AKAs. I need y'all to get on y'all soror and make her produce. Let's continue. Identify, promote evidence-based best practice that can provide black students with a rigorous and well-rounded education in safe and healthy environments, as well as access to support services that will improve their educational, professional, economic, and civic opportunity. Advance and coordinate effort to ensure equitable opportunities for black students. In the reopening process for schools across the country, take steps to ensure black students from early childhood to post-secondary ed can equitably recover from learning losses and other challenges faced during COVID. Encourage and develop partnerships with the national network of early childhood and early intervention providers, schools, institutions of higher ed, and other public-private philanthropic and nonprofit stakeholders. Monitor and support the development and implementation and coordination of federal government educational, workforce, research, business development policy program technical assistance designed to improve outcomes for historically underserved communities. Here we go again. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that, brothers and sisters? I'm going to read. Here we go with them words again. He using them words. Did y'all hear what I just said? I need y'all to understand, overstand, and understand. I need y'all to understand, overstand. I'm going to read it. Listen to what he said. Listen to what he said. Listen to what he said. To improve outcomes for historically underserved communities, comma, including Black Americans. Let me read it again. To improve outcomes for historically underserved communities, comma, including Black Americans. One more time. To improve outcomes for historically underserved communities, comma, including Black Americans. Y'all see what's going on? Do y'all see what's going on? He's going to use an executive order for Black folks to help everybody except Black folks. He's going to use an executive order for Black folks to help everybody but Black folks. But your Asian American executive order is only for Asians. Your Rainbow Gang executive order is only for them. Your Afghan refugee program is only for them. Why, when you do an executive order for us, it got to include everybody else? Why do we see other groups mentioned under the disguise of historically, where is it at? Underserved communities? Not historically underserved communities. Nope. 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 How about for the African communities in America whose ancestors laid the foundation and built what would become the United States of America? How about that, President Biden? Let me say it again. For African communities in America whose ancestors laid the foundation and built the entire civilization of what would become the United States of America. How about for the offspring of the enslaved Africans who were brought from the mother continent? That's what you're going to do. You are not going to lump us in with nobody else, because nobody else has been through what we've been through. And Black people, I'm going to tell y'all now. Black people, start speaking only for us. Start speaking only for us. Start speaking only for us. Stop using words like people of color. Stop using words diverse. Stop using words multicultural. Stop using words disadvantaged community. Start saying Black folks. I am speaking for Black people or American African. Black Africans in America, you better start only speaking for you. The reason he can put diverse in there is because we always want to represent everybody else. Black folks are the only group in America who wants to invite every other group to their own party. When the last time you got invited to a Chinese party? When the last time you got invited to an Indian party? When the last time you got invited to a Mexican party? When the last time you got invited to a rainbow party? When the last time you got invited to a Afghan party? You don't get invited to nobody else's parties. Nobody invites black people to their party. But whenever you have a party, you want to invite everybody to your party. And then they use your multiculturalism, which is nothing but a self-hatred for your own self. The multiculturalism is of the American Negro is a disguised form of self-hatred. Let me say it again. The multiculturalism of the American Negro is nothing more than a disguised form of your self-hatred. And because we have multiculturalized ourselves into extermination, we have multiculturalized ourselves into marginalization, we have multiculturalized ourselves into gentrification, we have multiculturalized ourselves into mass incarceration, because we have multiculturalized ourselves into being ignored. That's why Joe Biden can put all these little tricky words in this executive order to make you think he's talking about you when he's talking about everybody. Let's continue. Work closely with the Executive Office of the President on key administration priorities related to education, equity, and economic opportunity for Black Americans. Advise the Secretary on issues of importance to Black Americans and policies relating to educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity. There is established a federal interagency working group which shall be convened by the executive director and shall support the efforts of the initiative. The interagency working group shall collaborate regarding resources and opportunities available across the federal government to increase educational and economic opportunities for Black Americans. The interagency working group shall consist of senior officials designated by the heads of their respective departments and include the Department of State, Department of Treasury, Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Department of Interior, Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Labor, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, Department of Education, Department of Veteran Affairs, Department of Homeland Security, White House Office of Management and Budget, White House Office of Science and Technology, Small Business Administration, White House Domestic Policy Council, White House Gender Policy Council. White House Gender Policy Council. They got their own council. They got their own damn council. Did y'all hear that? What did I tell you earlier? I said the rainbows got their own person on the presidential cabinet. Look, White House Gender Policy Council. They got their own person on the president's cabinet. Why we can't have one? Where is the director for African American Affairs? Where is the director for African American Affairs? Where is the director for African American Affairs? Let's continue. The National Science Foundation, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, U.S. Agency for International Development, and such additional executive departments, agencies, and offices as the Secretary may designate. The Executive Director may establish subgroups for the Interagency Working Group to focus on different aspects of the educational system, such as PBIs and HBCUs, early childhood education, kindergarten through 12th, children and adults with disabilities, teacher diversity, higher education, career and technical ed, adult ed, correctional ed, re-engagement, economic opportunity, work-based learning, entrepreneurship, financial education, mentorship, educational challenges facing particular populations. Did y'all hear that? Educational challenges facing particular populations. I thought this was for Black folks. So why can't you say Black folks? Why you got to say particular populations? We are not a particular population. We are Black people. So why can't you continue saying Black? Because you want to use this for other folks. This is not about Black folks. You're only doing this because you're trying to save the Democratic Party's reputation amongst unregistered Black voters. Each agency designated to participate in the interagency working group shall prepare a plan outlining measurable action the agency will take to advance educational equity and economic opportunity for Black communities, including their plans to implement the policy goals and directives outlined in Section 2B of this order and other relevant work. These plans shall be submitted to the chair of the initiative on a date established by the chair as appropriate. Each agency plan shall include a description of the effort, a description of how the applicable agency will decrease the barrier, a description of how the applicable agency can address the challenges faced by Black folks, a description of how the agency Office of Civil Rights, if applicable, can address discrimination. Any information applicable the agency determines is relevant. Information addressing additional criteria, each agency shall assess and report to the chair on their progress. The initiative shall monitor and evaluate the progress. The department shall provide funding and administrative support for the initiative to advance priorities and policies on an annual basis. The commission shall provide advice to the president through the secretary on matters pertaining to education and economics for the Black community, including what is needed for development, implementation, coordination of educational programs and initiatives at the department and other agencies to improve educational opportunity, how to promote career pathways for in-demand jobs for Black students, how to increase public awareness and generate solutions for the educational and training challenges of Black people, approach to establish local and national partnerships with public, private, philanthropic, and non-profit stakeholders. Commission shall periodically report to the president. Commission shall consist of not more than 21 members appointed by the president. Here we go, brothers and sisters. Here we go. The commission shall consist of not more than 21 members appointed by the president. The commission may include individuals with relevant experience or subject matter expertise, as well as individuals who may serve representatives from a variety of sectors, including education, early childhood, higher ed, career, technical, adult ed, labor organization, research institution, public and private philanthropic organization, private sector, nonprofit, community-based, national, state, tribal, wait, whoa, I thought this was for Blacks. Tribal? Okay. Native American, huh? All right. See what they doing, brothers? How tribal? Where did tribal come from? We one tribe. The American African is one tribe. Where did tribal come from? Commission members should be able to provide specific insight into the lived experiences of those served by the initiative, including young adults, and have diversity across the Black diaspora. President shall designate one member of the commission to serve as the chair. The chair, in consultation with the executive director, shall convene regular meetings of the commission. You already said the Secretary of Education was the chair, bro, even though it shouldn't have been. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit. Whoa, listen to this. Listen to this. Please listen to the very last statement in the executive order. We're about to finish, y'all. I need y'all to focus. I need y'all to focus. I need y'all to focus. Please read the very last statement in the executive order, the last page, number C. It's the very last statement, followed by Joe Biden's name and the White House, October 19th. Listen to this. He's not referring to Africans as being natives of America. He's trying to squeeze the Native Americans in there, all right? But since y'all want to be Native Americans, y'all going to get clumped in with the Cherokees and the Choctaws and everybody else. So keep on listening to them coons who keep telling you Native American. Go ahead. Keep listening to them coons and go get your Native American rights, and you can get lumped in with the Choctaws and the Cherokees, and they're going to treat y'all worse than slaves because they don't like you. They done already said you're not getting none of that casino money. You cannot claim right to any of the resources of those tribal nations. So go ahead, go do your Native American thing. Keep on doing your Native American dance, and when you get something, come back to me. When you get some resources in some institutions, my Native Americans, come on back to me. Let me read the last clause. Let me read the last clause. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, entities, officers, employees, or agents. Did y'all hear what I just said? Did y'all hear what I just said? Let me break this down and we're going to be done. Let me break this down and we're going to be done. Let me break this down. Let me read it one more time. And let me break it down real quick. 5 minutes. We're going to be done. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. Signed, Joe Biden. Why did they put that at the end of the executive order for black education and economics? Why did they put that at the end for the executive order on black education and economics? You want to know why? They want to make sure when they do none of this for black people, they want to make sure when they do none of the stuff in this executive order for black folks, you cannot sue in court. And because we are a nation within a nation, and because we are a nation within a nation, and because we are a nation within a nation, they're making sure black folks don't take the U.S. government to international criminal court or to the United Nations for failing to keep good on a promise that they made. They basically said everything we just promised, we cannot be held accountable for it. Did y'all hear that, brothers and sisters? Did y'all hear that, brother? He basically always read the last line. Always read the last line. They said all this, and then they said, under no circumstances does this guarantee you anything, nor can you use it to sue us in domestic court or international court. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Notice, he never said he was going to give us more black teachers. He said diverse. Notice, he said nothing specific about changing special ed because he's not. He said nothing specific about doing anything about graduation or suspension because he's not. He didn't say anything about putting the industrial building trades back into the high schools, the plumbing, the electric, the carpentry, the welding, the auto mechanic, the computer networking. He didn't bring none of that up. This was a distraction. So black people stop talking about the $43 billion he stole from the HBCU. This was a distraction. So the Congressional Black Caucus can go home for the holidays. This was a distraction. So those 59 Negroes on the Congressional Black Caucus can go back to their constituents for Christmas season and act like they brought you something. That's what this was. This was the house Negro working with the slave master. That's what this executive order was. This was the house Negro working with the slave master. That's what this executive order was. This was the house Negro working with the slave master, brothers and sisters. This was the house Negro working for the slave master. That's all this was. You done gave the Afghans, you done gave the Asians, you made calling the Asians a slur a damn federal offense. If you call an Asian a slur, it's a federal offense. You taking care of the Mexicans at the borders, you taking care of the rainbow. I can't go back as U.S. representative. I can't go back as U.S. congressman. We can't go home, President Biden. The field Negroes ain't gonna let us out there if we don't have some vittles. We need some vittles, President Biden. We need some vittles, Massa. Massa, give the Congressional Black Caucus, give us 59 do-nothing Negroes some vittles so we can go back to the field Negroes and make it look like you did something for them, Massa. Don't send us home for Christmas and Thanksgiving without nothing. Brothers and sisters, the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said it best. The most honorable Marcus Garvey said it best. If the black man and woman are not careful, if the black man and woman are not careful, you will drink in the poison of Western civilization and you will die from the effects of it. I want to see who the 21 appointees are going to be. I want to see who the 21 appointees are going to be. I'm willing to bet you They're going to be bougie, elitist, snobby house Negro coons, rainbow gangers, and other multiculturals who are not black going to be sitting around that table of 21. Who want to bet? Who want to bet they're going to go to Harvard and Yale and Princeton? They're going to get a bunch of bougie Negroes and a white wife to sit around that table of 21. Who wants to bet me that those 21 members of this commission will not be anybody who give a damn about what you need? Brothers and sisters, I hope to see you in Allentown Sunday, Chattanooga, Tennessee on Thursday the 4th, Everlasting Life Cafe in Capitol Heights, Maryland on Wednesday, December the 10th, Nat Turner Land in Druryville, Virginia on November the 11th. I hope to see you in Norfolk, Virginia at the Kroc Center, Hampton Roads on Friday, November the 12th. And I hope to see you at the Great Blacks in Wax Museum on Sunday, November the 14th. Please donate to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, $ FDMG School. Personal donations, $ Dr. Umar Johnson. Peace and Pan-Africanism.